Good morning. This is Justin. It is May 19th, 2020, 8:37 here in the morning in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. What you're looking at here is just a loop over the storm event that we had on Sunday into Monday morning. Well, throughout Monday, much of Monday, I was surprised. Dropped a bunch of rain across sections of Wisconsin. Far northern Wisconsin, not so much, but you can see across on this loop here, Sheboygan County, there's a 7-inch report, 7 inches of rainfall reported there. I think a lot of that having to do with the lake. I mean, if you look, uh, and in addition to other things, but I've never really seen that happen like this. That's really, really something special and incredible. You also had some pretty heavy amounts out here in southeast Minnesota. Not as heavy as over here. But yeah, it was quite the system. You have this motion that goes backwards. Oops. You have this motion that goes like this, And whenever you seem to get that, that's when it seems to be the heaviest of heavy storms. So that is what we went through on Sunday and a Monday, and then here's some of the rainfall amounts. Again, these are co-op measurements over a 48-hour period, and that would have been ending yesterday. So yeah, quite a bit there. But again, like I said, not so much up here, and maybe some dead spots in here. I thought that would happen, and it did, but I only but I yeah. So here's the 1 to 2 inches. Okay, this was the departure from normal precipitation from 5:1 to 5:17. So I don't think that it's actually missing a bunch of the rainfall across this region. But I just wanted to show you that it was actually pretty darn dry across Wisconsin. So it's good news, but we'll see what that looks like when it comes through. Now I'm going to show you my March forecast, or sorry, my May forecast monthly that I created. I think it was actually a couple days before May began. I had this negative. This is the opposite of what we've seen here in the last few days. So that's that's not good. But I wanted to show that basically kind of had this neutral, negative, near normal to below average across Wisconsin. I just saw the data that I saw there in that last update. I thought that we would have a bullseye, but we'll see. We'll figure out what's going on there, and the month is not over quite yet. All right, here's the departure from normal temperature from 5:1 to 5:17, showing quite pretty cold. It looks like it's as much as -5 degrees below average across portions of this region. I expect this to moderate so that you're going to probably race back to normal or average here in the end, but it's just taking a while. And this last storm that actually kind of cut off and went down this way is not helping warm it up at all. And here was my May 2020 temperature forecast. So I saved off a copy of the CPC, what they were predicting, and we'll compare at the end. But yeah, I mean, because you had to get rid of. I didn't think that this below average would be that far south, and so I kind of kept it up there and put this near normal. But again, we'll see. This is something that I'm working on. The first 2 months did pretty well. Now this month, I'm worried about it, but we'll see. Okay, here's the Arctic oscillation observed, showing this downward trend. Really, since yeah, probably February in there. You can't see it in there, but I remember February. Sorry, January, but February is in here. You can see that's where we peaked. We had I think it was like a 2.5 positive on that index, and then March was a little bit lower, but not terribly much lower. And then April for sure. It's definitely where we transitioned back to neutral status, and now we seem to be in a neutral to almost negative at times. But I would still consider this mainly a neutral zone in here. So basically, what this tells the story of is that the Arctic oscillation has unraveled, and I think that what we've seen in early May and maybe this storm event, even this last one here last Sunday, may have had something to do with this unraveling. And so, but I still think that this is going to have an impact on the summer. I still think you're going to see cold shots, coming in from the Arctic out of the northwest occasionally. This always happens, but perhaps they're going to be a little bit more aggressive this season. We'll see. We'll see. Here's the PNA, NAO, WPO, and the EPO. So the EPO kind of In winter, now they may change or maybe look a little different in summer. I haven't done that research, but in winter we know that when the EPO goes negative, we tend to get cold shots. This seems to be more of a balancing act in here, and you'll see what's going on there. I'll show you the 500 millibar and some of the anomalies at the jet level. Why this is sort of not really notable. It's just kind of a flip flop around the average. On the PNA, maybe in late May going negative, which is good for stormy events because you get that negative, you get the western trough in there, but maybe a little bit too late there on that. We'll see NAO very positive, so I'm sure that's significant. Again, I haven't done the research to know what that would look like. So here's the 7 to 10 day forecast based on the European ensembles showing the 500 millibar height anomalies of a positive. We've been talking about this for a while, and it's not a runaway positive because actually I will admit that it seems like these sort of are still shifting in their position and timing, and sometimes at first it looked like it was going to be a lot more of an impressive ridging or impressive warm up initially. It now looks a little bit more not hit or miss, but just not as clean, not as impressive or significant. So, but anyways, this would suggest to me this is kind of a lazy pattern. Now, for 6 to 10 days, this is centered on really what should be the heart of the storm chasing season across the plains here, and it's just showing a very subtle troughing in there. It's not basically to get the bad, to get real big, significant severe weather and great storm chasing opportunities. You want that trough sort of look like that, and that's not what we're seeing. This is not good for the storm chasing season because if you remember, the first half of May so far has been there was ridging, they call it the death ridge out here, because and then it was colder in this area. Now it's shifting more of a zonal pattern. It's not going straight back into a western trough. So interesting to note. Here's the 850 millibar temperature anomaly. Not the surface, just a little bit above, but it still kind of tells the same story here. In the final days, the final weeks of March, you're seeing more of a positive signal. So basically, this would suggest warmer, and that would be going back to this. That would be helping to warm this up a little bit. That monthly trend. So we'll see what it looks like in the end. Now let's take a look at the various levels of the atmosphere. Now I'm totally in storm chasing mode now, and there's certain things that we're doing that I used to do on the Facebook page or on the website that I'm probably not going to do much anymore this summer. Because this is where my focus is going. Like my mission, my dreams now are really kind of revolving around getting some very impressive Wisconsin storm chasing going on. So intercepting and filming and tornadoes and all that such. But that's what I'm thinking about now. How do we get there? Well, last year, I don't know. I was inspired by something I had last year. I would call it a relationship between the jet streams, and we had I think it was in late July or mid July, where we had some really significant severe weather across northern Wisconsin. We had these jets coming together in a certain way that was very impressive and different from the rest of the season. So I guess I'm just going to start there right now. Now, whatever I say going forward doesn't mean we can't get severe weather or strong thunderstorms going throughout the rest of May or into early June. I'm looking for something that's a little bit more of a slam dunk or an impressive signal, maybe a week-long pattern that kind of brings a couple events. So that's what we're looking for, while knowing that May. By the time we get into the summer months, when you're looking at 7 days and beyond, the predictability really, really decreases. So what we're starting here with now is the subtropical jet, that 250 millibar. This time of year is 250 millibars, pretty close to where I would expect to find it. And there's nothing. What I like to see is somewhat of a jet coming out like this, or basically coming off of the Pacific Southwest. Somewhere in here, I want to see it coming up and in. For Wisconsin and the upper Great Lakes and the upper Mississippi River Valley for severe weather prospects, okay? And for pretty typical storm chasing. Now, we do see a trough that works here in the upper levels, but it's not connecting the dots because you have your moisture stream typically located here. Again, the subtropical does help, but you want to see something coming like this because then you can engage this part of it. But yeah, this is not what I see here over the next few days. I see this cutoff system over here that's just kind of lingering around. and I see kind of a lazy trough in here. Now, I do see a lot of action in the basically up in here. This might be, again, this to me is not a subtropical jet. This is an Arctic circulation more so. More activity going up on in here. Not as much down in here at the 250 millibar. And we'll stop about here because I don't feel like going any further. But basically, my point here is that you're not seeing much going on at the upper levels. Okay. That would support an average or a typical severe weather season across the plains. Okay, here's the 500 millibar jet. Now, this is more closely aligned with the polar jet this time of year. And you're seeing a very similar pattern. I mean, pretty much throughout. You're not seeing any crisscrossing. So if you think, I mean, and I could show you the layer comparison, but basically, if you remember the 250 millibar, they're pretty much the same now. When you get crossing over, so let's say that the subtropical at a higher level is going like this, and then the polar jet is maybe more like that. Now that's a crossover that might favor severe weather on a more regional scale. So, but basically, this tells me that it's mainly unidirectional with the same kind of flavor going on into the end of May there. So basically, this pattern is not good for severe weather across the plains. This is bad, right? Because you want to storm track in here. As I mentioned, you want to engage that moisture, and you're not engaging it, at least not very effectively. So let's talk about the moisture. Let's talk about the 850 millibar level. Now you're seeing here at the beginning of the period, so this is supposed to be today. At the low 850 millibar jet is basically just dominated by this cutoff, vertically stacked low pressure system, blocking anything really going on here. And actually, the flow is reversed across the part where you would expect the moisture to be going like this. It's actually going the opposite direction. So not good there, but that always changes. Wind will blow in a different direction eventually. Now you see some symptoms of that close to the later part of this end of this week, Friday, May 22nd. Maybe a little bit of a return to normal. And here's looking like a nice, but it's looking pretty sharp. But maybe some moisture starting to return. We'll see. But yeah, nothing real strong in here. Again, you want to see some strength. You want to see a nice feed going on, and maybe for a little bit there, maybe for a little bit, yeah. But again, I don't think it's all coming together quite yet. And then we go into the end of May, and actually you're seeing more of a northwest flow. So what this tells me is we're going to have to get the moisture in here going. Okay, we need moisture in this region to take advantage of these systems that are coming out like this, okay? Because it doesn't seem like this is getting it done right now. All right. And meanwhile, let me just do this because I love the way this looks. Dew point temperature. Again, here's your moisture source. And actually, what we have had a little bit more moisture, an abundance of moisture in recent years across this part of the United States, the eastern part. I mean, remember last year in the middle of summer, heavy rains. We've had a lot of heavy rain events recent years up in here. So, and in my opinion, it's wet enough that if you could just get it warm enough and then get the evapotranspiration going, you're not going to. What appears to be a slow year to begin with could turn into an active year in June and July, just based on climatology. With all the moisture that seems to be hanging around. And plus, we have a positive AMO going on, so we're going to see more heat and humidity moving up like that. But yeah, so it's just kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the 850 millibar, you might have the moisture in there, but you also need the wind speed in the jet to move it north. So, but yeah, I mean, that's not terrible in terms of moisture, and you can see a nice front on at this point. What is this? 213 hours. So this is next Thursday. Front coming through. So. Yeah. Yep, there. And then, so let's talk about, kind of our precipitation outlook here, because I don't know if I can go back to show you the storm that we just had here. Well, here's about as close as we can get. So here's this big vertically stacked cutoff low pressure system here that moved out of like that and brought up Wisconsin the heavy rain. Now it's down in here, and it's moving on. I don't want to draw sounding. Thank you very much. That's pretty. Okay, and then we go through into the early or late part of this week. We have May 22nd here on Friday. Just not a whole heck of a lot going on. Maybe some scattered showers, some mist at times. Probably quite a few clouds in there. Now, as we get towards the weekend and then we move into early next week, now this would be a good time for a storm. It seems about this time of year. Sometimes you can get about every 7 days you can get a storm if you get things going on a nice good rhythm there. But so that would make sense. Sunday into Monday maybe you might have a front coming through in here. Oop, no, and we're drawing soundings again. Yeah, and then you could kick off something, but again, for the other reasons that I mentioned, things not totally aligned up in here, kind of missing some pieces. But you could still get thunderstorms and maybe even a severe storm here or there somewhere across the region. That's not and then immediately replaced by high pressure. So that's not what we're looking for if you're looking for storm chasing. And then again, I talked about this. This is 222 hours out. Late next week, we talked about this. It looked like to be a front in here somewhere as I draw another sun in. So we'll see how that works out. I mean these things at about 222 hours this time of year are just not reliable. So that's about as far as I'm going to take it. But well, actually no, just for laughs, we can go out. Now this is something, for example, that might be able to do something because you can elicit. Oh man, I keep doing that. You can kind of draw up that moisture and the jet flow there in the low pressure system here. So this is more of a classic strengthening low pressure system. Now it's not a whole lot going on along the warm front here, so that's interesting. So, anyways, there's things to think about. Okay, now let's look at severe weather data. This is the reports so far this year. I'm trying to get closer to Wisconsin, and you're seeing here we are right in here. You have basically what looks like a couple storms even. I mean, our severe weather season to this point could be best described in maybe a couple storms. Because you look at the trajectory here, that could be one storm. This could be another storm. And then here, this has been more active. Yeah, for sure. I would say. But a lot of these hail reports, I think the green is hail. And then the blue is wind. So these hail reports, all of these came from pretty much one day. I think that was in either March or April, probably April, all in one day. So that's all it takes sometimes for a severe weather outbreak to just totally change the way things look. But look at the plains here. This is supposed to be Tornado Alley, the heart of the, all of it. And it's really sparse, but over here, just totally peppered with severe weather so far this year. So we'll see how that works out. In my opinion, I think, like I said, with the positive AMO, you're going to see this moving out like this. It may not necessarily come together here. I mean, again, this is supposed to be the peak time right now in this area, and we're not seeing it, okay? So this tells me that it's probably going to be somewhere else this year. Okay, or maybe it's just going to be down here overall. Okay, with all that said, again, I'm looking for something to do storm chasing wise, and so yesterday I posted a video from Montello of 2009. This was my first storm chase. And you're seeing, if this is really hard quality, that's probably 480 pixels or even less. I think it was the Sony Handycam. I think we bought it in like 2005, but it was my parents that brought it along. I filmed it. You're still recording onto those tapes, that look like mini VHS tapes. That's what this was recording it. But this was a beautiful storm. Now, I spent a lot of my time thinking about how can I replicate this storm with all the new equipment, the 4K cameras and the GoPros and stuff. If I got the same opportunity, what would I do with it? That's what I like to think about. But man, this was my first storm chase. So, I don't even know.
It's really cloudy around here.
Yeah, I mean, and that was just like bad camera work and everything. I thought it'd be interesting to share. I posted it before on my previous page, but yeah, I mean, it's just interesting how things change. Oh, this is listen to this. And then I actually went into the passenger side seat and I think I shut the door. Yeah, so that was my life. Yeah, I mean, we're looking now. So let's talk to right now. It looks like the SPC does not have any outlooks for Wisconsin right now. I mean, it's all nada. So we're quiet, and no, we don't want that right now. I wanted to show you this. This is my storm chasing statistics. Now I keep these because I'm interested and I want to know how efficient I am. A count of days, storm chasing. So this is just a pivot table here. Count of days equals the number of storm chases. miles total, about 43,000. Storms, 276. I just keep track of the storms I intercept. I mean, individual storms or different targets or different intercepts. I just like to know, how much action I'm taking and how effective I am. And the average storm chasing mileage just looks like, again, I haven't done the analysis and I could just be looking at this and going, whoa. But it looks like my average distance traveled has decreased over time from 2015 down into the last couple of years. It looks like my trips are getting a lot shorter. And then the number of significant events is increasing as I go through time. Hopefully, I can get get better at this. But yeah, see, it kind of boils down to all these effective. These are the measures of effectiveness, and so storms per chase. You want to be high, and then storms per mile. You want that to be lower. So yeah, I'm doing better, but again, it's all about what you chase. It's the quality, not the quantity. And so yeah, these things I think about. There's another thing that might be kind of funny. The number of chases by day of the week. So I believe Monday. So this one here, I think this corresponds to Sundays, and then two is a Monday. So I don't know. Just looking at it right now, it looks like I chased mostly on the most number of storms I've intercepted are on Wednesdays for some reason. The number of significant events is pretty much spread throughout any day. But yeah, I mean, just kind of interesting. But yeah. All right, so that's what I got for you today. We're going to be changing it up a little bit because I'm kind of not digging the 7 day forecast anymore. I don't know. The updating is, I feel this need to do something different. I'm just not quite sure what that is yet. And I kind of want to start by storm chasing because that's where I started this whole thing 10 years ago, 11 years ago, storm chasing. So that's what I'm trying to get back into, just need the opportunity. So thank you again for watching. Hope this is interesting. I'm sure things will change. Maybe I'll do another video later this week and I'll be talking about something totally different. I don't know. But thanks for watching and we'll talk to you soon.